wide there for the lead. They had a go, didn't they? Kane Lasky trying to get his nose in, but it's just 3 wide. Just
3.
No, nothing to stress about at all. As I'm getting a bit twitchy there with Marnie currently in second in that orange 23 machine. See, they covers off Arabian. The purple 42.
Yeah, these Formula 4s really like the camber in the carousel. They're really having fun taking it 2 and trying to make it 3 wide through there. And for the most part, we saw race with a little bobble. For the most part, they're sticking. They're just riding hard through there.
For me, the interesting one is Lasky because, you know, these top 5, excluding Lasky, are used to, you know, battling each other on a regular basis, with the exception of Hendrickson, to be fair. It's a bit of the unknown quantity for me in this one. I think possibly as well to the drivers around him, and that's always a bit of a challenge, isn't it? Because you never quite know what they're going to do. You know, it's, for instance, you know, Arabian and Rice and Green and Marnie, they've raced together so many times. It's not worth counting for it. It's so many. So they know where they'll try it, where they won't try it, what they might do. Whereas Lasky, he's got a bit of an ace up his sleeve here, because Marnie, for example, who's in front of him right now, won't really know what to do if he comes under attack, whether he's faking it or whether he's actually genuinely going for it.
Yeah, I think I remember Lasky from last season in the Spec Racer series. So I think that there's a little bit of knowledge of him for these guys. And he actually had some, if I remember correctly, he had some decent races last year. So he wasn't slow by any stretch of imagination. But I think these guys, obviously with this community, they really know each other. And even if you maybe take a season off, if you come back, you still got that, as we see Lasky on the outside there, just starting to lose the rear, so had to catch it and collect it. So I think they're going to have a good handle on each other at this point.
Just about managing to stay together, our top 6 right now. 17 minutes on the clock out of 25. Barney leads from Hendrickson, Rice, Arabian, Green, Lasky, your top 6, Trenton, Kramer down in 9th. He's your leader in Spec 2 with Paul Jackson, 2nd in class, lamp overall. And then it's Heffron. He's going to make up that 13th overall and 3rd in Spec 2. There's Overstreet just, oh no, oh wow, there you go, there's Curse the commentator done.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was watching. Overstreet took a very different line than Jackson through that corner. Stayed really wide on entry and kind of cut it narrow. Tried to really pinch the apex. So I think she made up a bit of ground during that. I was sitting there looking at it, and even though those top 6 have been really fighting each other the entire time, they still managed to pull the gap out to West and P7 by 7.2 seconds. So even though they're fighting, they're still making up time, and I think it's just the power of the 6-car draft is helping them out, helping them extend that lead.
As Jackson into the pits. I think Jackson's been caught up in a couple of issues, so that could well be damage. Well, shame for him, definitely. There is Phil Perkins up now 20 places into, well, they made that 21 up into 12, of course, because Jackson's in the pit lane. He wasn't expecting that one when he rocked up tonight, starting all the way down in 32nd. Meanwhile, up front, they're at it again. It's all change. Advantage Hendrickson.
2 by 2.
So Noah would be on Noah's Ark, isn't it?
Yep.
Starting to get towards the business end, aren't we? 6 minutes left on the clock because we've reached 19 minutes now.
Yeah, so now let's go back to that question. What do we want to be on this last lap? Do we want to be in first place?
Did I even ask that question, Charles, or do you just know me so well?
I know. I think I asked it this time because I do know you so well, Tim.
Well, yes.
Yeah, so, it's one of these. I don't know if I want to be in first at this point. I don't think there's enough. I don't think that I think the track's wide enough that you're not going to be able to defend because I think they're going to come from both sides. Oh, and speaking of commentators, curse part 2, that was Perkins like he's into the wall.
Well, if that car is good enough to continue on, Murakami is catching him at a rapid rate of knots. However, he still has 3.2 seconds advantage over him. In fact, that gap stabilised at 3.1 now, so he's got back up to speed. So, still looking good at the second in class, Phil Perkins, and 21 spots overall. Can he make it inside the top 10? Well, if these top 6 trip up over one another, you never quite know, do you? So Jackson's got up and running again. But I think, just going back to your original point, Charles, I think Jason Green is the most vulnerable out of this. It seems like I think our winner's going to come through our top 3 on that final lap, because they do this every time, 3 wide, and that just blocks the track. I mean, Lasky had to go at making it 4 wide, a lap or 2 ago? Couldn't quite get it done when these cars are just a little bit too wide.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, I think the top...
Oh, Marty's gone.
Yep. Kept it out of the wall, but obviously he's made up. He's lost too much time, so now it's just going to be those 5. So I don't think he's going to be able to make that gap up with 4 minutes left in the race.
Well, no, to the point of that, says Bobby West headed past him and Alan DeGarcia. So, in fact, that's a change for position in class, isn't it? With Alan DeGarcia's getting past, so he's now at 9 spots overall, 5 in class up into. He's going to stand on the second step of the podium if he can hold on that one in Masters. That'd be a great result for him. Did you say, Charles? Well, right, 1 down, 5 to go now. So we've got 3.5 minutes left here for Watkins Glen, and Arabian's starting to look a little bit loose for me.
He is. I think and I go back to look at Monty again, but I know he was on the outside. I don't know if that bump maybe tripped him up a little bit, or the little drop off there from where the bus stop kind of rejoins the track, that straight line, which is normally what we would see when running this. It would just be the part that's not used. So yeah, I don't know if that tripped him up or caught him out or not. But yeah, I still think any of these 5 have a chance to win this race, because it only takes 2 of these cars with wheel-to-wheel contact, and depending on which 2 cars they are, you might get a chance to sneak through.
Go for the free wheel, and they're starting to come up on some back markers now. That could be a telling part of the tail, couldn't it, potentially? And I don't know about you, Charles, it looks like they were just all backing out, almost like nobody wanted to get into the lead quite now. And it's Kane Lasky for the first time tonight. He's going to take charge of proceedings. Hendricks is second, Race, Arabian, Green, that top 5. To say that, there's Antonio Rice trying to have a bit of a look at the inside of Hendrickson. Can't get it done. Hendrickson coming for the switchback though on Lasky. And as quick as he got the lead, he's going to lose it unless he can defend this one to the inside. Hendrickson looking to sweep all the way around, the long way round, carry the momentum. But has Lasky done enough? I think he has, just about. He's going to have the inside line to the next corner to hold on to this one. But as I say, there's traffic coming up.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the games may have started now to see who's going to be leading and who's not.
I wouldn't put it out of the books either, Charles. From all to take each other out, and Bobby West. Lasky's round, and he's taken Arabian with him. So there's 2 gone. So that answers our question of it being 3 wide onto the final lap. Hold on. Yes, the white flag is going to be in the air when we cross the line. We're going to have 1 lap left to go here from Watkins Glen. That's a straight dogfight of who's going to finish in what order on the podium. Hendrickson, Rice, or Green. Who's going to take it? 1 lap left to go. Don't go anywhere, because we're about to find out who's going to take it.
Yep. So we're going to get through here. We're going to hopefully the lap traffic's going to stay out of the way as best they can, because these guys are going to just fan out. We'll get down the straightaway, try and get the run, as we see. Already looking on the outside.
Race moves to driver's left of Hendrickson. Where is Green? He's somewhere in this mix. Wow, the man is sat in 6th for so long. Well, that is closing. He's going to get himself boxed in. His race going to swoop down from the outside. Hendrickson's going to make it uncomfortable for him as they come through the carousel for the final time this evening. Here comes Green. He's got the run. Can he pick off Rice? He can't, because look at Rice. He moves across to close off that maneuver from happening and open up the corner. And I think Hendrickson, he might have done enough here because the way they're going to catch that traffic. Well, no, look, they've pulled over and that's allowed them through. That was Franz Reck.
Very nice job by the lap car.
And I think Hendrickson might have done enough here, Charles. We haven't really seen many overtakes for his last few corners. I think he might be safe.
We'll see. If you can get a good run out of that last corner, we might make it close at the line, but it kind of feels like unless there's a mistake made, he might have this.
It's never quite over to the checkered flag flies, is it though? You never quite know. So we're just on board with Green then. And Hendrickson, he's got one corner left to go as he drifts through the penultimate corner. And he's going to take the first victory of the evening. The Ray Esports Week 13 runoffs for Season 2 on Apex Racing TV from Watkins Glen. Hendrickson takes it from Rice, and Jason Green, the man who sat in 6th for so long, steps onto the podium and comes 3rd. Well, that's in race. You win it in Masters. Marnie's past. He's got past the Gassias, interestingly, on that final lap. So he's going to put 2nd in class. The Gassias 7th overall, 3rd in class. Trenton Kramer, look at that. Your winner in Spec 2 in 8th. A great result for him. Just waiting to come across the line when he does. It's going to be Phil Perkins in 12th. There he is, just behind Murakami. Up an incredible 21 spots overall. Come home 12th and be 2nd in Spec 2. And bar catastrophe, it looks like Paul Jackson will run up that Spec 2 podium.
Yeah, that was a great race. There was a lot of action during that. Obviously, you see the power of the draft here at the track, and they used it to the fullest.
Wow. Wow. What a race. 25 minutes of absolutely epic action, and we've still got another race here to come. The 4 Spec races, they're coming up shortly after we've got everyone across the line, and we bring you through some results. I mean, that's one driver who's going to really feel for it. Corey Heffron, he was onto the podium overall. I think, did he even leave in Spec 2 for a while, didn't he?
I think he did. He was he for sure was on the podium. And yeah, it just takes one corner, you mess it up, and that's pretty much race done. Because the cars the sharp end of this grid don't really make a lot of mistakes. We did see a couple, but it's just hard racing. They were just wheel to wheel contact, and sometimes you can get away with it, sometimes you can't.
No, it either way. You roll the dice, you get a double 1 or a double 6, and nothing in between. Here are your class of 5 results for the first race of the evening. Formula Ford from Watkins Glen. It's Hendrickson with a victory, Tony Rice 2nd, and the victory in class for Jason Green rounding up that podium. Fres Arabian comes home 4th with Bobby West 5th, Marnie and DeGassia 2nd and 3rd in class, 6th and 7th overall respectively for those two. We tried to Kramer, your winner in Spec 2. Then it's Charles Martin and Overstreet, good recovery drive from her. Murakami 11th. Then Phil Perkins, what a drive from him. 21 places, as we said before, up into 12th, 2nd in class with Paul Jackson. Unlucky for some 13th, but 3rd in class and on the podium in Spec 2. Carlos Navarro, 14th. Then it's Warbolt, Laurie, Heffron, McCain. He had a quiet race. Actually, he was involved in an instance earlier on, and then he's done well to recover that back to where he started with Franz Reck. Another one of those drivers caught in that opening lap incident. Managed to climb 15 places up into 19th with Latoro running at your top 20. Then it's Rene Pike, Lasky, Jacobson, Montgomery, Hansen, Knight. Oh, he didn't have a good night, did he? Sorry, Austin. Pocock, Hadlock, Sadro, Mayer, Ray, Lynn, Vicaro, Samaus, Nunez, Carter did not make the start. Bit of a war of attrition there. A lot of drivers retiring their cars. Will it be the same in the Spec Racer Fords remains to be seen. Actually, I spotted. Let's go a quick chat to him while he's still in there, Charles, and before we head across into the next race. Antonio Rice joins us now. Antonio, very briefly, wow, just wow.
Thank you. Yeah, wow. Very briefly, yeah. Yep.
Yes, I mean, it looked like an absolutely great fun you guys were having up there.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun together. And unfortunately, there was some little accidents, and then I survived somehow. But I got lucky. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, I would be dead as well.
Oh yes, you would have enjoyed it. It came close a few times. Still, winning class, second overall, not a bad result at all. Got to be happy with that one, surely.
Yeah, they're very happy. That was a nice final season with the runoffs. And I want to thanks to Steve Ray publicly here for all he set up everything, and for the sponsors as well, and you guys for broadcasting.
That's no problem at all. That's Antonio Rice, your winner in Masters and second overall here today. Well, we're going to head to a quick break now. We'll just move across to get ready for the Ford Spec races. Do not go anywhere. We'll see you shortly.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Wow, just about enough time to get over what we've just witnessed in the Formula 4s. Now it's time for the Ford Spec racers here in the Ray Esports and Weekend Warriors Week 13 runoffs of Season 2 on iRacing. Live from Watkins Glen here on Apex Racing TV with myself, Tim Cox, Charles Bouchard and Samuli Kumo. Well, I mean, if we have exactly the same again, I just need to go sit in a cold, dark room, I think, Charles, because that was just absolutely epic. Had everything right from start to finish, kept us guessing every stretch of the way. And now we've got qualifying just getting underway with a lot of the same names and some even more people who will be vying at the front based on what we've just seen.
Yeah, indeed. So the funny thing was I loaded into the session, I heard one of the drivers say, wow, these cars have so much more draftability than the Formula 4s do. So with that being said, this is going to be an awesome race with the amount of passes we had the last race from just drafting down the straights. This looks to be like it's going to be intense from start to finish.
There is Alan Kane heading out on his first flying lap. Ran well earlier on in the Formula Fords, had a good recovery drive after getting caught up in an opening lap incident through. Well, where he is now, the S's. It was always going to happen, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
It was always going to happen. It was when, not if, I think is the best way of putting it.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's like I said, it's just the S's are, it's probably the tightest part of the racetrack, and it kind of narrows up as you go through until it opens back up for that back straight, the run down to the carousel. So yes, it's probably the most difficult part of the track. It's so I expect to, I'm hoping to not see it in this race, but I fully expect it to happen at some point with a couple of cars.
Well, you've set the tone now.
Yeah.
You set the tone, haven't you? It's or is that, in fact, the
I'm
reverse
trying to reverse
commentator's curse?
That's what I'm trying.
And, well, what are we going to see? We're going to see close quite undoubtedly. It was about half a second all the way down to 12th or 13th, which I think was that Bobby West at the time. I'm trying to remember. We've seen witnessed so much that it's hard to know where to look, really, or hard to remember it all. But now, first time's coming in, so Gaspers takes provisional pole with what looks like an astounding lap. Half a second quicker than anyone else. There we go, Simon Mayer slots that one in. But the absolutely stunning lap from him to go 2/10 just behind Gaspers. There's Lynn, there we go. The gap is starting to get bridged right now. as he goes second, 1/10 behind McCain. A solid lap from him into 6th. Who struggled a little bit? Jason Green down by his own stand on that opening lap. Tom Gradwell, well, welcome. It's the third row of the grid provisionally for Tom Gradwell.
Yeah, really good lap by Gradwell. Yeah, we'll start seeing this if the Formula Fords are any indicator. The lap times will just continuously drop for the last half of this qualifying session as they go a little quicker each lap.
Things have gotten just a little bit hotter on track 2. As you can see there, 108 Fahrenheit, that's 42 Celsius. So track temperatures have risen about 30 or 40 degrees, 3 or 4 degrees compared to what we've just experienced in the Formula Ford. So it's going to be a little bit more treacherous. Wow, do my eyes deceive me?
I was thinking the same thing.
The man who never puts in a qualifying lap always starts from the back and climbs up through the rankings. It's always fascinating to see just how many will climb. One time he does qualify, he sticks it on provisional pole. It's Andreas Bertoni, the Uruguayan. Felix Samal's only 400 slower than him, and then Gasper's only 5,000 slower than Samal's. Ooh, wow. That top 5 especially incredibly close. And there's also some people much further down. Dan Wood being one of, actually, no apologies on Dan Wood's about maybe a little bit down from where we might expect him. But Jason Green down as 17th. He's well down. This is the one well down. Well done, Samuli. He read my mind. Yugmani all the way down, languishing, dare I say, down in 19th. Murakami, 21st as well. Names we expect to see higher. Flavio Andalo's had a rough time in qualifying so far. Only good enough for 29th. So he's well down. Evandro Dantas has had his first time deleted, so he'll leap up and into the higher echelons when he gets a lap in, most certainly. So what does Marnie manage on his second lap as he heads across the line, cuts the timing beam? Well, it's better, but not by much. Very good enough for 14th.
It's kind of interesting, but as usual, top 20 within a second of pole, which is what we're used to seeing in the race. Is 2 seconds back to P34. So obviously, those times will be a little bit tighter. Obviously, especially in the Spec 2s, you'll see them. The gap won't be nearly as spread out as that. But to talk about the Spec 2s a little bit, McCain with a P9 overall, 0.65 behind pole. So obviously a really good lap for him.
Yeah, really, really good lap for him as Green heads out onto his second lap. Of course, drivers do have 3 laps available to him. Lone qualifying, which is a little bit different to what we normally see here on the weekend Warriors, or the Sunday night on Apex Racing TV, where everyone's open on the track, open qualifying. And also, it's the cold hard shuts as well. So when that clock runs out, it's not like we normally have in the weekend Warriors where it gets extended, you get to complete your lap. No messing around here in the runoffs. That time runs out, that's it. We're done and dusted. And I think there's a few drivers that might get caught out by this one. So Simon Mayer, currently 5th. This is going to be his last flying lap, looking at where we are on the clocks right now. So he comes through the 3rd to last corner, that tricky corner that we were talking about earlier on in the Formula Ford races, through the penultimate corner. Personal best in Sector 1, personal best in Sector 2, personal best in 3. No improvement in 4. It's going to take a big final sector. Can he climb for 5th on the grid as he races to the line? Is going to be any improvement? 202.87 to beat for Mayer. And there we go. That's good enough for pole.
What a great lap. 200ths a second above Bertoni.
It's like the fastest final sector of anyone, Charles, did Mayer, and that was what was good enough for pole for him. Green, ironically though, fastest sector 1 of anyone. He's currently down in 18th, so he's one. And there we go. Personal best in sectors 2, 3, 4. Here comes the big time from Green. He races to the line. He's got to climb well above 18th, surely. He's got to be inside the top 10 with this sort of lap based on those sort of stats. That's good enough for 6th, 3rd row of the grid for now for Green. Wow.
Great lap by Green. 7/100 of a second separating the top 4 cars.
Oh, it's borderline insanity. I laughed because it is like that. It just shows you how close it is. And one of them is Andrea Spettoni, who never qualifies ever. For I think 2 years I've been commentating on the series, I've never seen him qualify once. And there you go. He had provisional pole, but Simon Mayer, I do believe, may well be his first ever pole position. He's got Andrea Spettoni alongside him on the front row. Felix Samals and David Gaspers make up row 2. Then it's Yang Lin and Jason Green on row 3. Row 4, Ferenc Arabian has got Tom Gradwell, a great qualifying from the Aussie. Absolutely astounding. And top qualifier in Masters too to make it row 4. Row 5 and top 10 is Overstreet and McCain. McCain being your top qualifier in Spec 2. He was a bit higher up, so he's dropped down a little bit in the last stage of qualifying. Then we've got Steve Elson and Jason Perry, the all-British row 6 with John Vogel and Bobby West making up, sharing the 7th row. Row 8 being Jorgmani. Disappointing for the Swiss driver by his own high standards. He's got Chris Montgomery alongside him. There's the Mexican Dan Wood with Dan Sandro. What we're going to rename row 9 being Dan Rowe. Then Lasky and Stephen Mitchell are going to run out that top 20. And for row 10, again, 2 drivers well down, and Murakami and Dantas. So they're going to start from row 11 with Brad Cathcart and Charlie Vaccaro making up row 12. Row 13, that's Mark Carter and Eric Doty, this all-American row. And Bradshaw's got Phil Berry for company. And then row 15, all Masters, Kurt Nunes. Another driver may be disappointed by his qualifying performance here. He's starting alongside series organiser Stevie Ray. Flavio Andalo, another driver to suffer in qualifying, well down on row 16 with Paul Jackson. Corey Heffron, hoping for a better finish to what he had towards the Formula Fords earlier on. He starts next to Josh Justice, and it's Gary Walbolt and Ian Gibson. Jeff Jacobson and Charles Navarro on row 19. Row 20 sees Karl Hudson alongside Jeff Horniak to round out that top 40. Row 21, not setting times from here onwards, but these two have made the track. That is Zaber Gonzalez and Trenton Kramer. Caleb Pocock, yes, he did get to the grid, so did Perkins as well, but they did not set times, and that's going to round out your 22 car grid here from Watkins Glen. Big pressure now for Mayer, isn't it?
Yeah,
it
was a great lap by him.
Oh, well, I mean, it was just felt like it was one of those laps where just everything comes together for you, and that you've got you're like, where that, I don't even know where that came from.
I think that's right. Yeah, you have one of those that just you hit all your marks, you carry as much speed as you can, and it just all works out for you. Sometimes you need one of those. So it's going to be interesting to see this front row and what happens. Because obviously, as you mentioned, Bertoni is never up here. So obviously, I think he's a good enough driver, but because he always, we always kind of watch him work his way through the field, and it's like, okay, how many is he going to get today? He's usually up 20, 25, 30 spots. So we'll see what he does from the front this time.
I mean, he's so high up on the grid, he might even have a nosebleed. It's the altitude of being that high up. I've never seen him qualify ever. What can he do? And the maximum he gained today, Charles, is 1 place. And that'll be for victory.
That is true.
But it's going to be fascinating to see, because we never see him battle with these front runners. And I saw him in the chat earlier on, and he's not in here. That was Marco Panero, the Italian. Bit surprised to not see him here today in the runoffs.
It's a bit surprising.
Yeah, he was in the chat earlier on as well, saying hello, making sure that we knew he was there. We knew you were there. Disappointing. You're not with us, so that'd be, mind you, I think everyone else might be breathing a sigh of relief, to be fair, with the form that he's been displaying of late. So maybe it's a good thing and not a good thing at the same time. Gaspers has got pedigree. Where'd you pick?
Well, you know, obviously, I think all the guys in the top 4 rows, you know what, I'm going to say the top 5 rows, I think any of those drivers are good enough to win this race. I'm really kind of looking down at Monty and actually Lasky and Dantas, P19 and 20. Obviously, Lasky had a great race in Formula Fords just a few minutes ago, and Dantas is usually a front runner. So it's be interesting to see what they can do from mid pack.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to watch those guys come through if they can. Andalo, Nunes, well done. He's starting down in 29th. Well out of position. But let's get ready to go racing from Watkins Glen for the second time this evening. Porsche 911 safety car pulls in. Simon Mayer controls the pack as we are green and we are racing at Watkins Glen in the Week 13 runoffs for Ray Esports and Weekend Warriors, and already Mayer coming under threat there from Felix Samels. As we said, these guys love to draft, and this could be him losing the lead, but make the most of it while you've got it, Simon Mayer, or can you defend it to the inside? Let's find out as we head up through the S's for the first time. Hopefully everyone can make it through here, as already starting to have a bit of a pack front, starting to emerge. Overstreet just taking control of the chasing pack behind it in 8th place as he'll fan out across the track here. And well, Samals has taken to the front. So's Paterni, Gaspers, they're all side by side. They're going to go 3 wide, or are we? No, they back out to 2 wide. And Samals ahead of Gaspers. Well, maybe just for now, because Paterni's in there. Mayer and Lynn in this top 5 that you can practically throw a blanket over.
Yeah, it looks like everybody made it through the S's on lap 1, so that's great. So that means all the cars are still in play, and it's just, all right, how fast can you get to the front now? As we see a little bit of a gap starting to emerge.
It's back to McCain, isn't it, who's leading in Spec 2. Looks like it always feels a little bit like it's the cork in the bottle. It's literally the whole field piled up behind him right now. I mean, say that, piled up behind him. There's only 1.1 seconds gap, isn't there, between himself and Green, who's currently occupying 7th at the tail of that front. Oh, that's Vogel ride.
They're still looking to try to make things 3 wide going into this corner, which is not a good idea.
No, entry is okay, but it just tightens up so much and really narrows up the track on exit. It's so deceptive because on entry, it's as wide as it's one of the widest points of the circuit, excluding the massive runoff areas that you have at Watkins.
Yeah, for sure. But it's a 90-degree left-hander, and it, like as you said, tightens up very, very quickly. And there's really only 1 or 2 good lines, 2 at the most, and that's stretching it sometimes to get out of that corner.
Yeah, I think you are stretching it there, to be fair. But that leaves a whole heap of time anyway. At the end of lap 1, Samals leads from Bertoni, Gaspers, Mayer, Lynn in this front group with Arabian and Jason Green, who's just about holding on for dear life at the back of it. But they're already 2 wide. Here we go for the 3 wide. It's Bertoni, Gaspers, and Samals. Will Lynn get involved? Oh, Lynn pushing Bertoni there in the middle of that 3 wide to try and get himself ahead. Is it going to work out for Lynn? No, it's not, but it does mean Bertoni's going to take to the front. Gasper's on the outside there. Samals could sneak through, but he can't carry the momentum. Lynn trying to follow Gasper's through. Will he get it done? Yes, he will. Up the inside surely here.
Yeah, just 2 by 2 going through there. And yeah, and you know, oh no.
Big one.
Stevie.
And Darlow caught up in it too, Charles, and I think Pocock as well. Oh, there's another one, John Vogel as well. That's further on though, that's a separate incident.
I think it's a separate incident. I think he was, I don't know if he got help or not, but I think he'd already had a little incident in one corner. Maybe he was just struggling a little bit with the handling of the car.
Let's have a look out. Oh, so Andala came in hot, made a collision then where he was half spinning. That was it. It just started off the chaos. I'm amazed, Charles, there was not more people involved in that one.
Yeah, because I think he was still mid-pack at that point. It's surprising there's about 15 cars piled up in that corner. So you hate to, excuse me, you hate to see it though, because obviously, you know, some good drivers back there. And just was a mistake. Like you said, getting too hot coming into the corner. couldn't hold it on the inside, pushed out, collected another car.
As well, some bruised. Let's look at not looking good. Landalo trying to limp it back home there. As meanwhile, the best of the rest being headed up by Elson, who's jumped up a few places here. Evandro Dantas in there. Oh, wow, there's another big one down at 90.
Oh, Lasky. Who else we got there?
Brad Cathcart. Maybe
and that's
those
the exit of turn 1, and I think we see our fair share of incidents there. As they're 2x2, I'm going to.
Oh, wow, elbows out though.
Yeah, I'm always loving the bump drafting. Anytime we can get involved with that, that makes my little NASCAR heart happy.
Your deep south NASCAR hat.
That's right.
Well, Evandro Dantas really getting the elbows out there on Elson to try and just squeeze his way through. Although weirdly, despite coming into the carousel in the lead, emerges after the next corner. Elson's managed to grab it back from him.
I was going to say earlier, Elson and Overstreet had gotten by McCain to try and to get out from behind that cork, as we talked about a little bit earlier. But then Overstreet maybe just got in the wrong line, got held up again, and so she's dropped back down. But Elson, Dantas, and West have all managed to get by McCain. McCain obviously still leading Spec 2, so he's doing a great job. But sometimes you just have faster drivers, and you have to let them go and try and hold on to the tail as best you can.
Okay, still leading Spec 2 in 11th. Marnie now your leader in Masters. He is 13th with Gradwell, dropping those 6 places down to 2nd in class. Meanwhile, Murakami now, he's up 5 places, 1 in class. He's up into 3rd in Masters. Spec 2, that is obviously McCain first, then Montgomery, and Phil Berry down in 20th. He's climbed 8 places overall to get himself into 3rd in class. As well, they're all scrapping here, and it's starting to get a little bit bitty. It's Elson back ahead now of Dantas. Oh, Dantas has really lost out there, hasn't he? He's lost, 4 places, maybe even 5 here potentially. He's hung out to dry on the outside. Is everyone getting themselves in order and pushing their way through? You asked for it, Charles. There you go. There's 4 wide. Oh, and there's contact as Overstreet on the outside. Cannoned into. Elson holds it together. And oh, there's further contact behind. It was Gradwell who initiated it. Oh, and there's more further contact. Oh, dear. Montgomery comes off the worst. Oh, and there's more going through too. More spinners. And who's that? That's Ian Gibson. Oh, after a good run from Gibson.
Yeah, I think the contact between Monty and Elson, it were 4 wide. I think looked like it was netcode. And obviously, not really much you could do about that, especially if you're 4 wide. But then the secondary set of wrecks were just all people trying to try and get checked up to keep from getting in the first wreck. And then, you just got that accordion effect. It just keeps happening.
So we'll see someone run a little bit wide in the background there. Didn't quite catch who it was. That's who it was. It was Chris Montgomery. Got up on that insert early on. Do wonder if he may be carrying a bit of damage potentially from those incidents. Down we come. Our lead group into turn 1. 8 minutes already. We've only got 50. Of course, we've split out into 2 heats, aren't we? 2 races for fun. Didn't see. Wow. We get to do this all again, Charles.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. As we see them 3 wide through here, it's just they just line up and push. And try and get that line moving. And now we're 3 wide, double foul. So 3 wide through the corner. It's going to be tight.
No! Big snap there in the middle of the pack. An Arabian shouldered out, but survived somehow. And that's that's Overstreet.
Overstreet. Oh, wow. Yeah, how did she end up over there?
I was thinking exactly the same thing. That's a strange part of the track to end up in.
It really is. I'm gonna guess she had help, just based on, because that is an odd spot, especially when you're not using the bus stop.
Right. I think now, according to our timing software, Alan McCain coming off track just before. Oh, that's how.
Yeah, another 4 wide situation. So I think we've learned that 4 wide down that straight's not going to work.
Will it stop them trying?
No, not at all.
They'll probably even go for a 5 wide just to prove you wrong, Charles.
It's very possible.
That car's destroyed. But of course, 30 will progress into the next round, the feature. So it's well worth keeping going. And Overstreet is right on that cusp, Charles.
Yeah, I was going to say, do they have a fast repair? Because if she can get a fast repair in this race, obviously, yeah, you're right. She's right on the edge of transferring to the next heat. So if there's a fast repair available, that would be that'd be very beneficial for her. Because that car, she's not going to be able to maintain that spot with the way that thing's crowded down the straightaway.
Oh no, she'll be eaten alive. That's for certain. Well, you can see Jeff Horniak just in the background there. By that line, Charles, I'd say she's coming into the pits.
Yes, she is.
Oh wow, that thing. I mean, from this angle, you see just
Yeah, so interesting to see what happens when she actually gets to her stall. If everything looks nice and shiny and new again, or if she just is done for the race.
I mean, she was done for the race, Charles. Surely she just would have parked it and just jumped into the pits. Yeah, checked out that way. I mean, I could be wrong.
Oh,
there you go.
Fast repair, back out. Now she's got quite a bit of time to make up, and not much time to do it. But obviously, Megan's a really good driver. She's usually quick everywhere we go. So if anybody can make up a gap, she's as likely as anybody else in this field to do it.
These guys here are all through. Do they know it? Oh, I was going to say, the last thing they want to do is have an incident that could drop them out.
Correct.
And Carlos Navarro, wow, he's going to come through. That's Linda Bertoni.
Wow. Big shake up front.
Let's have a look, Charles. So they'd actually pulled ahead. Our concentration and everything was happening behind them.
I think he was just trying to bump draft too late and got into the braking zone for Bertoni and didn't realize it.
Well, that's good. I mean, those two, when we cut to that replay, I was shocked at just how far ahead they were.
Yeah, they had got a really good run.
Is it me or just got a group behind starting to close up a little bit on that front group?
Definitely looks like it.
It feels like that, doesn't it? It definitely does. And well, we can see right now. So what was a top 7 is now a top 5 with Samals leading from Gaspers. Mayer back onto the podium. Arabian and Green as well. They're bump drafting here. Bertoni, he doesn't want any of that. He goes it alone right around the outside on the S's to make it 3 wide. Once again down the back straight, Lynn just behind him. Will he bump drop Bertoni? He's going to be too far back. West had it covered off. He moves across the right-hand side of the track, but Bertoni swoops down, and in doing so, moves himself up into 7th place. Oh, that's going to be close.
Oh,
wow.
That was close.
Wow, actually, he has quite managed to grab that place from Gradwell.
Well, I think the off-track there slowed him down. He just carried way too much speed into the corner. And used every inch of the tarmac on the outside to try and get that around. And then maybe a little bit of grass on top of that.
I don't think it's any maybe. I think there was definitely a bit of a coming together of the grass, and the groundskeeper giving one last bit of turf that he didn't have to mow. As this is Bertoni finally getting the move done on Gradwell. That's 7th place, or maybe not quite done and dusted. Yes, it is now. Steve Alson running very wide in the background there. Well,
Yeah.
where is... Keeping half an eye on... Oh, that's Karj Hansen carrying straight on. Where is he, Charles?
That's the heel. So,
It is,
yes.
isn't it?
Yep. So that kind of feels like another one of those. Maybe that was a little bump and run action going into that corner. He just had, he was trying to use his brakes to stop two cars, and it just doesn't work that way sometimes.
As the battle for lead resumes, but Samal's pulling out half a second, but it won't be enough because that will disappear. It will dissipate. It's down to 3 temps. It's going to drop inside 2 temps. He's defensive to the inside. Arabian damage to the front right of his car. He'll stick behind Samal's. What will Gaspers, Mayer, and Green do on the outside line where they push each other to the lead? It's not going to be enough, though, by the looks of things. I think they've held on to that one. I mean, amazing, really. But that's half a second, just dissipates down to...
no.
Getting around. And Lynn, it won't save that one, will he?
No, I don't think so. No.
Pushing hard to recover places, and in doing so... Oh, no! Wow.
Yeah, that's just a really bad space. That is not where you want to be sitting sideways, for sure.
Wow, Murakami's come off further down the track, Charles.
Yeah, I think Murakami basically had to take evasive action, might have got on the grass on the inside of the carousel, and you can take a little bit of curb there, but if you take all that curb, it will sometimes hook your car and bring you around. That might have been what happened in that situation.
Well, it's definitely been entertaining, hasn't it? And well, we're on to the final lap. I mean, I don't know where that's quite gone, but we are there already, and well, they're swapping around up the front. This is going to go to the line. Look, Samal's looking good. They're battling behind him. It's Gaspers versus Arabian. Advantage Gaspers in second place. Just come into the final corner for the final time in race 1. Here are the Ford Spec racers, and Samal's is going to take the checkered flag as he moves across. Oh, this is going to be very close, isn't it? Right across the line. Gaspers second. Arabian, Mayer, Green. I wondered if he moved across too soon there. I know he did it to break the draft, but that camera angle made it look a lot closer than what it was in the end.
Yeah, it was pretty close. So yeah, that might have been, or he may have actually pulled over, maybe lifted a little bit. You just never know. But yeah, it was definitely closer than they were racing before they came through the last corner.
Well, that car's definitely bruising batters of Lynn's. It's definitely seen better days. It's going to definitely a trip to the panel beaters to get those out. That is for certain. As you mentioned, top 30 progress through to the next race. And that is a little bit longer at 25 minutes. So there is John Vogel. And was he the last one? Yes, he was your last one through.
Yep.
The last one to make it. Wow, what a race here. The opening race from the Ford Spec racers. I don't think we quite expected that one. I mean, first off, Andres Bertoni qualifies.
Mm-hmm.
Drama before we've even taken to the grid. Simon Mayer with the qualifying of his life to get it onto pole. Bit good for him, he only finished 4th in the end, but I think he'd take that considering, got my word out there in the end, what it was like in front of him and all the battling. And of course then we saw Lynn move, fall by the wayside with Bertoni after their contact. Gradwell picking up the victory in Masters, and McCain win it in Spec 2. Of course, doesn't really stand for too much because it's all about the final, which is coming up very shortly. And we're going to be formed from the race results from race 1. Although, I don't know about you, Charles. It said the top 30, but it looks like it's actually gone, do you know what? I'm feeling generous. Let's have everyone in here.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's have everyone. So there we go. So we're going to line up in the results from Heat 1. So that's Samal's. He will be on pole after winning. Then Gaspers, second. Arabian and Mayer. I'm going to line up alongside one another with Jason Green. Boy West and Andreas Bertoni in the end coming home 7th. Tom Grubwell, you win it in Masters, but it'll be surprising, maybe. I mean, you're Marnie, I mean, that's a good recovery drive from him. He started well down, and I think about 15th, 16th, so he's trying to get back up into 9th ahead of Steve Elson to round out that top 10. Evandro Dantas starts 11th, so he came back through the field, so he did well. Dan Sandro, he's 12th, then it's McCain, your winner in Spec 2, with Bradshaw, Kurt Nunez, Corey Heffron going well there, 16th overall for him. Joshua Jacobson, 17th, then it was Jackson Lynn all the way down in 19th in the end after that incident. Francis came will round out your top 20. Then it's Charlie Vaccaro, Joshua Justice, Dogsy, Chris Montgomery, who had an eventful race to say the least. Karl Hansen did well to climb through the field. Stephen Mitchell, Carlos Navarro, and John Vogel taking up to 28th, with 29th being Jeff Holdiak, and the top 30 rounded out by Gary Waldbach. Flavio and Darla didn't make the progress we were expecting him to see. Otherwise, Murakami, I mean, though that is masked because he was caught up in that big incident into the carousel. Phil Berry, 33rd. Overstreet, of course, caught up in an incident. She could have finished comfortably inside that top 10. She comes home 34th. Then it's Caleb Pocock, Phil Perkins, who had an astounding race earlier on in the Formula Fords. Absolutely stormed through that one up an incredible 21 places. Stevie Ray will start 37th, then Dan Wood, Brad Cathcart, and Kane Lasky to round out top 40. Then we're into Ian Gibson, the last runner, but he was a lap down into retirement. Mark Carter, Jason Perry, both retiring 5 laps from the end. Then Gazabol in 44th, although he did not take the grid. And likewise this time around, Jason Perry has not still 42 cars out on track. Oh, wow. See, will they play it? I mean, longer race, will they play it calmer? It's still some 15 minutes shorter than what they're normally used to anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how this. How do you pan this one out? You've had your sprint race. This is your feature.
This is the feature, so obviously you got to get to the end of it to win it, obviously. So I think the guys in front will probably be a little more conscious early on, just trying to get some lap log. But, you know, we've got that group in the back that had incidents in the first race. And, you know, at the risk of cursing anybody, people like Lynn and Overstreet and Andalo that normally run toward the front. So they're going to have to be very, very cautious and patient as they work their way through the field. But obviously they can't be too patient because it's a shorter race. It's 25 minutes. So it's just going to be interesting to watch some of those cars in the back progress through. It's going to be, I think we've got a good group of fast cars with the end of that race where people like Marty and Elson manages to hang on to the top 10. So I think that group that's in front is going to be a bit bigger at the start of this.
Your comment there about making it to the finish, to having to finish the race. A little bit similar to Lee Diffie. He had made a cracking comment earlier about Roman Grosjean in the Le Mans 24 Hour. Apparently, 10 years ago, he was 10 years younger.
That is true.
That's is.
Absolutely a true statement.
Also true. Porsche 911 car is in. Felix Miles takes control. Let's get ready to go racing for the second time this evening here in the run-offs as we are green and we are go. And who's going to take this one? Is it going to be 2 from 2 for Sir Miles? But Arabian says, hold my beer, watch this, and heads straight through. And Sir Miles into the back of him. And in doing so, Charles, he's all the way down to 8th. May even lose more places.
That was a very that was a good move by Arabian. He had the line, he had an open track, and then I think maybe he might have parked it on the apex a little bit to get around that corner without pushing wide. And I'm not sure that Sir Miles was quite expecting that, as we're 3 wide up front already.
Already. Didn't take long, did it? Dantas doing well. He's just at the tail end of this little group here. Bertoni pushing himself to the front. So he's at 4 with Bertoni. Dantas is up 5. So Miles down 6 after that poor start from him. We were expecting whatsoever. John Vogel, he's had a cracking start. He's up 6. So's Dogsy. two as they all sort themselves out, but it's a bit loose. Oh, there's a big incident, Charles. Oh dear. Oh no, there's the big one.
Yeah. I did see it looked like there was a few cars. I think Overstreet came in on the inside, had a little opening there, so a couple cars got clear. But Yancey Lynn, obviously, the worse for wear, they're already coming back to the pits.
Oh dear, it's all gone wrong for Yangji Lin. Let's take a look at how it all unfolded from his perspective. He's got Dantas behind him, who just, oh, he taps him. There you go.
Just, simply broke. The guy behind was not really expecting that. And it's pretty straightforward as far as this goes. It's unfortunate, though. Obviously, kind of looking at them to maybe move up in the field during the race.
Now, despite all that, Charles, the top 30, the largest gap between any of the cars is 0.6 seconds.
Yeah, I think we got through turn one. We got for the most part a little bit of contact. We got through the carousel on the first the first at least half of the field plus. So yeah, it's still early. So all the gaps are going to be really tight for the time being. As we 3 wide again.
Oh no, Charles. I think Jason Green, is he going to squeeze this to 4? No, he's trying to find a lane right now, and he's picked Perez Arabian on the outside. Mayer was leading up the hill. There's 4. They got it. They got it done. Mao squeezed his way through to take control. He came from about 5 cars back there.
That was crazy. What a great move. Just drove straight up the middle to move from like piece 5, 6 back up to the lead.
They're all trying to sort themselves out and organise each other as to who was pushing who. Felix Smell said, well, if you're going to leave big out there, I've got to run. I'm off, guys. You sort yourselves out. I'm heading on through. And doing so takes the lead here on a lap 2. Meanwhile, behind them, it's starting to get a little bit of a gap emerged. See, Bobby West, he's on the tail end of what is forming our top 9, who are all nose to tail. It's still side by side. I mean, Petoni was leading early on, and then it's all dropped down. It's up, down, around right now, and everyone's just starting to follow through. Luckily, they've caught back up again. So it's still looking like all the way down to 25th before the gap is bigger than even 3/4 of a second. Still incredibly close, incredibly tight, incredibly competitive, but did we expect any less? Let's face it, here on the weekend Warriors run off. Well, across the line comes Samals. He's going to lead. Marnie leading in Masters. Gradwell's dropped down a little bit. McCain still holding on to that victory in Spec 2. If he can make it 2 from 2. He's looking strong for it. He can just bring the car home. Meanwhile, just having a bit of a look. Kane Lasky's had a good couple of opening laps. He's up 14 places. Would have benefited from that earlier on incident. Here we go up the hill. Through the S's. They're all moving around. Gasper's looking a little bit agitated right now as Arabian goes for that favoured outside. We've seen him use it quite a few times, Charles.
Yeah, I think he feels like if he could just hang on to the outside line through the carousel, that gives him obviously the inside line for the next corner. So he's
contact!
No good contact.
That's Gasper's, and then he's into Dantas there, who loses his bonnet, and that's kill off his straight line speed and his race. Right, that's one done.
I mean, that's just another one of those that's, I don't know how they made 4 wide even for the brief amount of time they did last time. So it's so that time it was 3 wide, and it was just another one of those situations where a car maybe moved a little bit on the straight and made contact or even net code contact with the car on the inside and started off a chain reaction.
Got a bunched up group for the a couple of them actually, to be fair. So Gaspers has dropped all the way down to 9th, and he's just about holding on to that tail end of that lead group. There he is. Behind him is then Adam Bradshaw, who's locked in a 5-car fight, maybe 6 cars even, back to Ed Doherty in 15th, and then Chris Montgomery leads for basically essentially the rest of the pack right behind them. There they are right now. There's Ed Dirty in the 994 machine, 5th in class. Up 8 places. Did I hear a spinner? I did. It's no Kane Lasky for that great start.
Yeah, he was moving up the list and just took 2 wide into the penultimate quarter. He was on the outside and kind of lost out.
So there's the recovering Overstreet. So she now holds the Andres Bertoni Award, shall we call it, for the most places gained. 15 now. The young American racer up into 19th overall. However, 1.9 seconds. Look, Marnie. For now.
Yeah, for now.
For now.
Exactly right. So yeah, that group is. They haven't really stretched out the gap to the second group that's starting with McCain at P10, who's got ahead of Gradwell. Nunez has got ahead of Gradwell. I think Gradwell, as we were saying, was probably the fork in the model there for a bit of time. So we'll see now that McCain's up front if he can maybe get that gap narrowed up a bit. But they really need to do a good job of working together.
Smouse is in.
Staying in line. Smouse is in. That's odd.
I mean, it can't be.
I think it's too late for fuel.
Well, because he would have learned. He should have at least 15 minutes of fuel on board the car if he'd left it in from what we had in race one. Is that instant point limit? That looks like a drive-through.
It definitely looks that way.
Wow, I mean, that's been rough for him if he's already hit that.
I mean, the only other thing I can think of is obviously incident limit. We can't really see.
Jump start.
Did a good job.
Did you get jump start? Is it a drive-through for a jump start? I'm trying to remember now.
If he did, then he should have been DQ'd already because we're on lap 5.
Very good point. Very good point.
The only thing I could think of, the only other thing.
No, it could. Well, it wouldn't be necessary because, of course, they have a rolling start here. So, that's Montgomery.
I mean, the only other thing, as we said, was Doherty off in the grass as well. Is maybe he had a slowdown because he was in the middle of that pack. He couldn't get it cleared fast enough, and maybe got a black flag for that.
Oh, that's a good point.
I don't know if that's a drive-through or if that's a stop and hold though, and so that's the other part of that.
Either way, a penalty for one of our front runners. It's really demoted him to 30th, Charles. That's painful.
It is very painful. It also just goes to show you how this pack is still, even with that's probably a 20-second slowdown, by driving through the pits. It just shows you how tight this pack still is and how much racing there is still left to do with just a little under 15 minutes left.
I mean, yeah, when you said about that, I mean, I'm looking at it. I mean, yes, there's between Elson and Gradwell, there's a 3-second gap. However, I mean, that's still realistically nothing. Other than that, there's a 1.7 gap between. That's Montgomery. He has been in the walls. So that's probably going to be repairs. I mean, other than the Heron and Dirty 1.6 second gap, they're all still nose to tail. That's being displayed here. He's going to go
nose to tail 3 wide, but still nose to tail.
And interestingly, Arabian just dipping down towards the inside there. A little bit surprising from him. Marnie in the lead. Jason Green now up into second. Yeah, different line there from Arabian. Maybe trying something a little bit different. You see just in the background there, Gaspers and Elson starting to fall by the wayside. They're right on the cusp of losing touch with the slipstream.
Mm-hmm. And then backs it into the wall. Misses the wall on the slide, but just backs it in so he can get his car turned. And obviously got some left front damage there. That kind of tells me that he might have got into the right wheel of somebody, which caused him to spin. I don't know if that was from then or from earlier, because I think he's been in the battle already. during the race.
That is very true. Yes, but he's been in a few battles, to say the least, hasn't he? Well, one of our many drivers to us, actually, to be fair. Oh, that's a big incident there. Cross catching that old Pocock. Nowhere to go. That was the catalyst for it. Completely helpless. Not sure about the restart, and I think that might have been some else.
It was some else.
It goes from bad to worse for the Portuguese driver. Chance of victory, and now.
Oh, wow. I have never seen a car crab that much going straight in my life, and I've watched NASCAR for a long time.
It's nearest to it at 45 degrees. I mean, the car looks like it's turning straight on. It's actually getting around the corner.
That's absolutely insane.
If they had side windows, he'd be driving on, looking out the side of it now. I mean, it looks like he's drifting to perfection.
It does. It does.
That's 45 degrees, Charles.
That is crazy. He did it. Obviously, I think the rejoin was a little not great, but he did a good job of driving that car in its condition back to the pits without spinning it.
Myself, that would have been dead.
Oh, yes.
Easily. Wow, sit rep. So we are just over half race distance. So that's Green, he's just dropped down a little bit. West up into fourth, but Marnie leads overall and in Masters. Arabian leading Spec 1, second overall. Oh, Pezzoni just sprinted the second time.
I said that might have been a little tap in the rear by Gaspers.
And if it was, Charles, that of course happened in the previous race where Lynn tapped him in the rear, and luckily stayed right on the back of this group, so he can slipstream his way through. So we've got Mayer third, then West, Gaspers, Green, Elton, Bertoni to make up that front group. Then McCain leads Spec 2, he's ninth overall. Then it's Gradwell and Nunes, second and third in Masters. Overstreet, she is up to 12, so she's recovering well. Up 22 spots. It's a great drive.
And she's dodged a couple of pretty heavy bullets during this race.
Yes, we say a couple. There's been a few of them. I'd say a few more than a couple, realistically. Jacobson 13th and Sadro, Justice and Heffron, they're second and third in Spec 2 right now. So it's a great result for Heffron and Justice if they can hold on to those positions. Certainly for Heffron. Dirty, Mitchell and Vogel and Ray going to round out that top 20. As these lots sort themselves out, or will they?
I think this group would do well just to stay in a straight line, single file, instead of battling for positions at this point, because you've got a little under 10 minutes left. And if they can get up to that next group, they can jump that gap. There's a lot of spots on offer for them.
It's possible as well. It's 2.7 seconds is the gap to McCain, who's now at the rear of that train, ahead of them. Also involves Nunes and Gradwell too. So that's a chance of being inside the top 10 here in the runoffs, and well worth picking it out and battling for. Like that four-way bump draft down the back straight. They gained so much time.
Absolutely, yeah, and Megan's obviously got good pace because she's jumped to the front of this group, and her last lap time was faster than like the 5 cars in front of her.
That's Green, Charles.
Green off,
and he was in that lead group.
Yeah, he was having a great run.
What's happened to Jason Green? I'm trying to think where he was. I think he was around about the mid pack of that lead group. Yes, he was. There he was. So that's Gaspers. Pulls to the inside. Does he outbrake himself? And does Gaspers drift wide?
Yeah, he just pushed him way wide.
I don't know.
I'm going to reserve comment on that one because that's that looked like Gaspers just really just used all the racetrack and didn't leave him anything on the outside.
Well, I don't know about your end, but my end, it was showing that Gaspers was basically and Green were inside one another. So
yeah, it was close.
Talking about close, though.
Maybe it was netcode and he got pulled out there. I'm not sure. Because we have obviously, if you've done iRacing long enough, you've seen it where cars will get hooked together and just drag each other along down the track.
That's Arabian into the lead. Marnie second. West is now third. Bobby West, that'd be a cracking result for you. Simon Mayer in the mix too. Patoni's still there. Don't discredit him. Gaspers has now dropped off the back of this group, and he's been in one or two incidents, so maybe I think they might be as well. He's a strong driver in these Ford Spec races, so I think there's quite a few people in this league group could well be happy with that one. He's no longer part of it as Alson runs in deep. That's going to allow Bertoni to try and sneak up a place on the inside there on Simon Mayer. It's going to fall to the back of this little, well, are they set of 6 cars scrapping away for the lead. We're starting to get towards that point, aren't we, Charles? We saw it in the previous race where it's coming towards the business end and starting to think about your moves for later on.
Yeah. It's the last couple of laps here is really start looking at what works and what doesn't. What you think you can get away with, where you can make your runs on the cars in front. So obviously this is not going there's no way this is going to be the finishing order of this race. And of course we saw it in the Formula Ford race where we had this big group of 5. Started with 6. We had 1 spin out. It became 5, and then 2 of them got together and at the front of that group, and then the other 3 cars went on to finish the race.
Well, based on that, we've seen Stevie Ray in. Normally first the stoppers in the full length format of 40 minutes. However, that is no fuel required. He's guessing that must be damage related. He's had a rough old time. But meanwhile, out here in front, we're going 3 wide once again as they drop back into 2 wide. West leads on the outside. Bertoni pushing him into the lead there. And Arabian, well, his pushing partner is Marnie behind him, but it's not good enough. And Bobby West leads. Arabian still on the inside of Bertoni, though. Bertoni can just hold it in. He'll have the inside into the next corner and could hold on to this one, but he can't. And Arabian second. Bertoni has to settle third. And Marnie, who was leading, this time last lap? Now down to pretty much the back of this group.
Indeed, and that's why you don't know how this is going to end up. Just because they swap in positions, 4 or 5 times during a lap. You could be first now, and you'll be 5th by the time you get down to the next corner.
I'm not sure if I'm happy or sad the fact we haven't got Lynn and Samals in this group as well, and Gaspers as well. Because I'm not sure I could quite cope with it. I mean, Jason Green, he was another one involved in this group earlier on. So they are slowly falling by the wayside, dropping off bit by bit. And there's Green, he's well off now, but in a little bubble of his own. So this group, they haven't really caught up onto the back of McCain, have they? No.
Yeah, 3-second gap. Looks like it maybe down to, it's about 3 seconds up to Green. So yeah, they really haven't made any progress, and that's even with Green maybe falling back a bit.
A lot of that's going to be to do with the battling, hasn't it? We're seeing right now being displayed in this group and also the chasing group. Although Overstreet has pulled away, but I think it's going to be 4 or 5 tenths ahead coming into turn 1. But come the carousel, it's a 10th. If you've got a 10th lead on your competitor, you've done well.
Indeed.
Here we go.
So,
ding ding, round 11. He's going to take it. He's going to lead it come the end of the straight. It looks like it's advantage Arabian. West hugs that inside line.
Monty got a good run on the outside.
He did, didn't he? Look at that. Is he going to sweep down? Bertoni's pushing Arabian. And West goes from the lead down to 4th. Mayer trying to sneak through. Can't quite get it done. Now Marnie. Doesn't seem to be, well, no one's made that outside line work yet to get a lead down into the corner, but Marnie's as close as anyone has ever been. Oh, no! That's Bobby West.